Howdy folks, welcome to the channel. Now I recently sold a transmission for my turbo EP3 Honda Civic. I got about 1,100 bucks for that thing, and I thought what better to do with that money than to head over to Facebook Marketplace and find us a cheap car and to try to turn that into a little bit more money, make a few $100. In this video, we're gonna find a nice cheap car on Facebook Marketplace, 700 bucks. We're gonna fix it up, we're gonna clean it up.
These carpets are pretty egregious.
And we're gonna flip it for a profit. And a little bit later on in the video, we're gonna talk about exactly how I go about finding a car to flip and how I know I'll be able to make a little bit of money on it. All right, let's get to it. Alrighty, just getting the trailer all ready to go. Take it back to U-Haul. Just got this sucker right here. Runs and drives, but it does leak a whole bunch of coolant. Although this looks like already, my fingers crossed, but this might be a pretty easy fix. It's just leaking out of a little slit in that coolant hose right there. It's that, and then it's got a code for O2 Bank 1 Sensor 1. So that'd be this guy right here, the heater circuit. And that looks like it could be the original. This is our cheap budget flipper car right here. Paid 700 bucks for it. Like I said, it runs and drives. It's an automatic D16 Y7, so non-VTEC. Just a simple little easy Honda Civic. So it'll be super easy to work on. Super easy to make a quick buck on. So let me go take this trailer back and then we'll talk about this thing a little bit more. Alrighty folks, it is the next day. I got some time now to go ahead and get cracking on this budget flipper challenge car. So let's just go over quickly what the problems are with this thing. First of all, it's pretty darn dirty. That is one of the major things with this, is it's just in really rough shape cosmetically. It just doesn't look really great, but all this stuff on the inside can fairly easily be cleaned up. And essentially it's just gonna cost elbow grease, and that's really it. Other than that, it's got an exhaust leak, which I have found to be the muffler just being broken. As you can see, it's no longer welded on, or you know, it completely rotted off, I guess you could say. Is there anything left to weld onto there? No, not really. Might be able to make something work here, but that's not looking great. Regardless, that's not a huge deal either. So aside from the exhaust leak, it also has a check engine light, which I ran the code for. It is just for an O2 sensor. So that should be a pretty simple one. And then other than that, the last issue on this thing, bang, see that split in the coolant hose right there? It's just pouring coolant, and it was overheating on the last guy. So right now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just fix this coolant leak real quick, swap that hose out. I already got a new one from AutoZone. I'll swap the O2 sensor real quick, and then I think I'm gonna pull the battery out, put it on the battery charger. We'll just fix these couple things real quick, and then it should be ready to list online. This battery popped out of here because she's pretty much deader than dead. I got a couple others sitting over there. One of these should work for it. I don't know which one's got the best charge, but maybe this one will be better. Sure looks a little newer. Let's check them both real quick. "12 volts. Yeah, about 3 volts. So I guess we'll take this one right here. It's the same 51R. So there's a free battery right there. Just one that's been sitting on my shelf. So guys, here's the deal. I'm not expecting to make thousands and thousands of dollars on this flip right here. This is just gonna be a small, quick, easy flip that we can make a little bit of dough on. And then we can take the money that we gain from this flip and put it into a flip that's a little bit more expensive, or maybe something that has a little bit wider profit margin. So like I said, we're not expecting to take over the world with this flip right here, but if we can get it fixed up as cheap as possible, we should be able to make $400 or $500 at minimum on this flip. So far we're about $800 if you include the price of the tow dolly and the parts that I picked up yesterday from the auto parts store, being this replacement hose and the replacement O2 sensor. That was about 55 bucks. The trailer was 45 bucks, so that puts us right at $800 even. Okay, this might be a two-handed job here. There you go. If you can get it to wiggle, to rotate on the fitting like that. See how the whole hose is rotating on the fitting? It'll always come off once you can get it to do that. Watch this. Easy as 1, 2, 3. Okay, it's gonna be a good idea to take some sandpaper and clean off these fittings real quick before I toss the new hose back on. So I'll do that, get the new hose on there, and this coolant leak should be taken care of. All right, those are looking a lot better with most of that buildup cleaned up off of there. There was some thick caked on buildup on those two fittings there, but it's a lot better now. We can go ahead and toss the clamps onto the new hose and toss that hose in there, and we should be good to go. Okay guys, got the valve cover taken off the car because last night after I got it all up and running, got the coolant leak fixed, exhaust leak fixed, the O2 sensor swapped out for the working one. I fired the car up and once it warmed up, it was idling at like 500 RPM and it wouldn't rev past like 3,500, 4,000. It was like a hard rev limiter at 4,000 RPM, basically. So my initial thought was that the spark plugs or the radiator cap and rotor were toast. Those all checked out just fine. They looked okay to me. So I turned my attention to the cam phasing. So basically the mechanical timing of the engine. And my next thought after the spark plugs was that the timing belt is off a tooth or two. So the way that I verified that is I pulled out my timing light, hooked it all up to the car, plugged in a scan tool, fired the car up, and I looked at my scan tool to see what the ECU is commanding as far as ignition timing goes. Shot the flywheel, and I could not see any marks. The marks were nowhere to be seen. So that tells me that at least the timing sync is not... So that tells me that at least the timing is no longer in sync. So then what I did is I loosened up the distributor and tried to sync the timing back up, but I couldn't. The closest I could get was having the distributor fully pegged the way it is now. I was able to get the 16-degree mark to line up on the timing marks with 30 degrees on my timing light. So I had to have 30 degrees on my timing light and a fully clocked distributor to get the timing marks to line up to where they're supposed to on the crankshaft. So that tells me that something is way out of phase. Something mechanically is out of phase. And obviously the most likely culprit is going to be our timing belt. So the way to absolutely verify this 100% that this is our problem is to turn the motor over by hand, set it to top dead center. Kind of hard to see because it's a little dirty. Okay, if you look right there, there's two white dots on a black little thing sticking out. In the center of those two white dots is a notch. And that notch is supposed to line up with that white mark. It's very faint on the crankshaft, which just happens right now to line up with the numbers on the accessory belt. So the white mark, the single white mark, is top dead center on the crankshaft. Those marks over there that you can very faintly see, there's 3 marks. There's a red one in the middle, and it's got 2 white marks on the outside of it. The red one in the middle is 16 degrees. The 2 white marks on either side of it are plus or minus 2 degrees. So we have our 0 degrees and our 16 degree marks. What we do is we line up our single white line with the notch right here. You look down that and you line them up like a gun sight. Right now they're not perfectly aligned, but they're close enough. Also, you'll note that there are hash marks on the teeth. You see that hash mark right there? And then there's going to be another hash mark right there. Okay, see those 2 hash marks? Those should line up. Those are perfectly in line with each other, and those should line up flat with the deck of the sealing surface of the valve cover gasket. Okay, so a little trick is those hash marks are also on the back side of the pulley. So if you look on the back side, you can see the hash marks as well. You can see that it is below the deck surface on this side, and it is about 2 teeth above the deck surface on this side. So our timing belt is verified to be off by 2 teeth. So what we need to do is we need to loosen this sucker up and reinstall it correctly. The most likely cause of this situation is that the guy before me serviced this timing belt and didn't do it correctly, because that thing is so tight. There's no oil contamination in there. There's not a bunch of slop in the timing belt. So there's no real reason that this should have slipped. So regardless, it did slip, or it is off by about 2 teeth. So we'll reconcile that, and this thing should be ready to rip again. And then that will be everything as far as the motor goes. The motor will be completely sorted, you know, fingers crossed, and we can move on to working on cleaning up the interior, then cleaning up the exterior as best we can. As you can see, there's a lot of peeling clear coat. But anyway, we'll clean up the exterior as best we can, and then we can list this thing on Facebook Marketplace. Okay, well, lucky for me, the timing belt is pretty easy on these cars. You just loosen up this bolt right here, loosen up this bolt right here, down there, and that'll loosen up your power steering pump. Slip this belt off. This is a pretty easy timing job because it's a single cam. You only really have 1 cam and 1 crankshaft that you got to get into time. Start by getting the power steering pump belt off of there, and then the next thing we'll tackle is the AC belt. So let me just take a peek here. Looks like that. Okay, looks like we're gonna hit this tensioner. Where is it at? See that bolt right there? Just to the right of the dipstick tube. That 10mm bolt, we're gonna go ahead and loosen the tensioner pulley with that for the AC compressor. So what am I missing here? I need to loosen that one up too. Okay, there's another 10mm on this brass or golden, whatever you want to call it, bracket here that we gotta loosen, it looks like, to allow this pulley to pivot down out of the way. It can't be the pulley bolt that has to be loosened, right? That's just gonna spin, I think. Certainly is. All right, you gotta loosen the bolt for the pulley as well. Okay, we'll take the tire off. They're gonna be 19s. Then the crank pulley is gonna be 17. Then the crank pulley just wiggles right off. Unless you live somewhere where they salt the roads. Then I wish you good luck. Never had that happen before. I think the Incredible Hulk was the last person to work on this car. I'm not kidding. Okay, I got a full battery, no extensions. I did it. Oh no, dude, come on.
I see me.
In the camera?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pointed at me right now.
It's gonna fall over.
Uh-oh, don't push it over, please.
In a bad seat. I love you, Dada.
I love you, Lucy.
I love my mama too.
Aw, you're sweet.
I love Oakley too.
Oakley's
He's way over there.
Is he outside? Oakley, go inside. Let's see if we can catch it coming off. I'm just barely rocking it back and forth. That's all I can get. But it is moving. Ah, here it comes. Yes. That can surely be a pain sometimes. That's the biggest pain in the butt it's ever been for me. All right, with that out of the way, we just take all the 10mm bolts off around this lower timing cover, and the upper timing cover if you left yours on. And then we're good to start servicing this timing belt. Okay, with this lower timing cover off, it is as simple as taking the 14mm bolt from the tensioner, breaking that loose, then all you gotta do is slide the belt off. Then we could set everything to top dead center, retime the engine, put it all back together. Okay, this thing is all back together, running great. Just went for a little test drive. Everything is good to go. Just a few things left to do on this. First of all, I want to change the oil, get the outside all cleaned up. I haven't decided whether or not I want to re-weld the muffler or just leave it. I mean, Honda guys don't really care about having a little bit of noise to their Civics. Most of them seek that out anyway. So I haven't made a decision on what I'm going to do there. I'll probably end up just welding it back on. Nice thing is that these headlights are already real crystal clear. They look like they've been replaced at some point relatively recently. So I don't have to buff those headlights out or anything like that. We'll just give this outside a nice good wash, give the inside a good cleaning, and clean up these wheels. And then, like I said, the oil and the muffler. This thing should be ready to throw up on Facebook Marketplace.
All right, well, we're waiting on parts for the timing belt anyway. So while we're unable to finish that job, we might as well tackle the interior, because these carpets are pretty egregious. I don't know how well we're going to be able to do these, take care of these stains, but we'll at least cover them up with some nice new floor mats. And I'll try to get them as best I can. And maybe it'll even be a good example of what you're able to do with what you might have at home, because I don't really have some crazy detailing equipment. But what I'm going to start by doing is getting these seats out, because it'll just be a lot easier to tackle. It's easier to work in the car with the seats out, you know, gives you a lot more space. So just 4 bolts for each seat, 1 in each corner. The 2 in the front face this way, and the 2 in the back face straight down. You can show the ones in the back. I guess one faces straight down and one faces forward. You get the idea. There are no electronics in these, so just pull them right out.
Wrestle it out. You're so strong.
Super easy for me.
What if there's just $100 under one of these?
That'd be nice.
Hey, it's a 14mm socket. Dang it, are you kidding me? What the heck? Get out of there.
Yeah.
35 cents to change down there.
You're rich.
What do you think? How much better can we get this?
Oof.
Probably a lot better. Hey, there's a ring.
Ew. Oh, really?
All right, the first thing I'm going to do here is vacuum it just with a shop vac. I'm not going to show you guys that because you guys all know how to vacuum a car with a shop vac. After that, we're going to see, we'll see what I'm going to do about this carpet, and I'll show you what I end up deciding. I'm not really looking forward to that, but I got to do something about this. This is disgusting. Okay, admittedly guys, I did not do a very good job of taking any after pictures of how that carpet turned out, but what I ended up doing is I took some laundry detergent and water and put it into a spray bottle, sprayed it all over the carpet, and used a hard bristle brush to just hand brush the carpet, loosen up all that dirt. Then I had another spray bottle with just clean water, sprayed water onto all that stuff, took the filter out of my shop vac and sucked all that dirt water out. And I just did that a couple times until the carpet got to a point where it looked like it wasn't really getting any better, and it was as good as it was gonna get, essentially. I do at least have this picture of before and after, what it looked like, so you can see this. But yeah, you can do it without detailing stuff, but you just don't get as good of a result, and it takes a lot of elbow grease. So I kind of just left it at a point where it was good enough, got some floor mats, covered all that stuff up, and it ended up looking pretty good on the interior when it was all said and done. So sorry I didn't really do a good job filming all that stuff. There's other stuff I didn't get on video throughout this flip, but you'll just have to bear with me on that. Okay guys, well, this car is all good to go. It's driving beautifully. Everything is working great. I've listed it up on Facebook Marketplace, and we have some people, some potential buyers that want to come look at the car today. So we'll see what happens there. I'll keep you guys posted. Alrighty, car's all done. It drives great. Everything on it is completely taken care of. Seatbelt's been repaired. All the weird random crap that's been going on with it is fixed. It has been up on Facebook Marketplace. I got a guy hit me up already, offered me $1,400. I have it listed for $1,700, so I figured that's probably about as good as it's gonna get. I could probably wait a little bit longer, but you know, I'm kind of going for the quick flip on this one. So I'm happy with $1,400. The guy's coming from about an hour and a half away. Generally, when someone comes from a pretty far distance like that, it's a pretty good chance they're gonna end up buying the car. So I don't want to speak too soon, but I'm pretty confident about this one. I think he's probably gonna end up taking it home. And also, if they're coming from far away, just know that you have that negotiating power, that they're not gonna wanna leave. So be firm on the price that you agreed on, especially if you agreed on a price over the phone already. Be firm, because they drove an hour and a half. They're gonna wanna buy the car. So that's where we're at right now. Hopefully this dude buys this and we can make a nice little $500 profit. Because like I said, we're about $905 into this car right now. Alrighty, car's going. That dude who drove an hour and a half ended up buying the car, $1,400 like we agreed. And like I said, we already agreed on a price before he had even come out. So that was a nice, easy, quick flip there. I probably could have waited a little longer and got a little bit more money, but that was just a nice, easy one. I got about a handful of reasonable offers, around $1,400. He was the one who wanted to come the quickest. He wanted to come that day, so I said, come on down. I got about 50 offers for $1,000, so that's something you just got to be prepared for on Facebook Marketplace. People are going to offer you, I mean, crazy lowball offers. It's just pretty much a normal thing there. So again, that's why you want to make sure you list the price of the car a few $100 higher than what you're actually expecting to get. I'd start with $500 over what you actually want for the car. That'll usually get you, you're always going to get the low balls, but that'll get you a handful of good offers. And if you're pricing a car fairly, it's going to sell quick. That's been my experience anyway. All right, so now let's go over the numbers real quick. I'll consult my handy dandy note card here. We got what we ended up spending on the car. The car itself was $700. The trailer was $45. We paid $37 for the O2 sensor, $19 for the coolant bypass hose, $25 for a set of floor mats, $4 for an oil filter, $19 for the oil. The timing belt was $10 on Amazon. We got a set of spark plugs for $22 and a seat belt for the front driver's seat for $20. I'll add that all up and put a total on the screen. So all in all, I think it ended up being around $500 profit, give or take, you know, a few dollars and change. But yeah, that's pretty good for this nice, quick little flip. I mean, we had the car for less than a week. It was up on Facebook Marketplace for about 8 hours maybe. It sold the same day I listed it, so that worked out pretty good. And then as far as some tips and tricks go for how to select a car for flipping, what I like to do, my main tip that I can say for you is go down to your local junkyard, walk down the aisles, and see what car is in there the most. In my case, it's Crown Vics, Ford Rangers, older trucks like Fords, Dodge Dakotas, Dodge Ram 1500s, F-150s, Chevy Silverados, Tahoes are in there like crazy, GMT 800 platform trucks, so like the Tahoes, Cadillac Escalades, Chevy Silverados, all those things are in there like crazy, and Hondas. 92 to 2000 Honda Civics are in there like crazy, and some older, some newer. A lot of mid 2000s Honda Civics, and then mid 90s to mid 2000s Honda Accords and Acuras are in there like crazy. Anything with a K series, pretty much, like Odysseys, CRVs. Those are, I mean, the junkyard in my local junkyard anyway, I can't speak for yours, is half filled with Hondas. And that's just because they sold so many of them. I mean, the cars last for a really, really long time, but they sold so darn many of them that the vast majority of them are not in there because the engines are bad per se, but perhaps the automatic transmissions are bad, or the car was rear-ended or got into a front-end accident or something like that. That's my biggest tip to you as far as finding a car, as far as finding a good profitable car goes, because you want something that you can get cheap parts for really quick. You don't want to be spending your money on brand new parts from the parts store. Get as many used parts from a junkyard as you can, because they're honestly, in most cases, are perfectly fine. And then my next tip for you is just use Facebook Marketplace. That's where I find every car I've ever bought. I mean, OfferUp's sometimes you can spend a little time looking on there, but OfferUp's pretty much dead. Craigslist is pretty much dead. Facebook Marketplace is what everybody uses, so that's what you need to use too. Let me know down in the comments whether you think we should buy a different car, a little more expensive one, or you think we should take this money and just keep doing Honda Civics over and over again. I mean, I know these D-Series engines like the back of my hand. These are super easy cars to flip, and you can make $200 to $500 every single time. So what do you think? Should we start trying to work our way up in value of the cars, or should we just stick with these super easy, cheap Honda Civics? All right, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. Nice quick $500. You guys follow these tips and you should be able to do the same thing. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.